clay they caution, dust to dust they intone. From earth you came, and to earth you will return, they admonish. They remind us we are mortal and subject to death, yet insist on their eternals. Demons and angels, paradise or purgatory, merely human with a finite measure of days. But we have exploded as novas, burned through galaxies, explored far reaches of the Milky Way, ridden on the tails of comets, danced on the edge of asteroids until, in a dizzying frenzy of passion, we fell through the viscous ozone, past cooling clouds to settle in the ooze that feeds the ocean's fluid. It was there that we decided to grow limbs and tongue, all the while holding inside the truth of our origin: magnesium, calcium, iron. We are the stuff that stars are made of. It's a scientific fact, a cosmic truth. In ignorance and in knowing, we hold grains of the divine inside ourselves, and we always have.
Hello to our audience on Facebook, the people who are here, the writers. We are, how do I say, tickled pink in several languages to have everyone here and to be here. And I just want to thank you all. This is a beautiful group of people who are doing a great deal. And you're going to hear their wonderful words and their poetry, and they're just magnificent. That's the best way I can describe everyone here. And it's just an honor to be with you all, a true honor. This is the last segment of a three-part series on Afrofuturism and the Black speculative arts. One of the things I feel that we've done through this series is we're reclaiming who we are as not just Afrofuturists, but writers who are writing about the Black experience in so many different forms and in so many different ways. And we are letting it be known that we have a lot to say. The first author reading is the incredible, wonderful Jerry Ward. And I want you all to please welcome Jerry. He's the author of the Katrina Papers, a journal of trauma and recovery, and the China Lectures. He is also a Richard Wright scholar, poet, and literary critic. Thank you for being here, and thank you for reading.
Hello, everyone. I want to say, stay safe, be well. As we open this, I'll use the title, A Gathering of Radical Sages. Quote, that was the chief trouble with Jesus. He was a troublemaker. So anytime you are a troublemaker and you rebel against the wrongs and injustices of society and organize against them, then what may happen to you is inevitable. The words of Benjamin Mays from My Soul Was Rested. Time was when blatherskite made us nod our heads in unison. Hymns swam in our veins as we watched indigo, cotton, cane, tobacco, and corn kill our kin with prophets to spare. And then some. Blatherskite made our brains this habitat, our mouths this loudspeaker. Preach truth in the closets of time. Will us to defy the quicksand of alien beliefs. Time is when blatherskite and amoral pandemics, imperial motherwit tempt us to forgive and forget we who are we. Abandon our vows to never forget the current killing of kin. Blame blatherskite for the melting of our mind. Let us make us new rituals out of old verities. Let us forge us esoteric weapons out of our antiquity. Time will be when Blatherskip will immortal the children of this world as we underground into another, tally with somber faces death that is not ours, sing the inevitable songs as not suffering comes, a glorious high throne, a throne from the beginning is the place of our sanctuary. A people of time. The children of time do not traffic with Caucasian blue faces in the cave, malice inflected quicksand clocks, other devices of depraved cognitions. Time says nothing is new. A zillion years beyond the birth of ashen Adam the rake and the death of obsidian Eve the hoe, children project and protect, conserve and preserve umbilical cords beyond counting of spirit thunder flashings and acts of mind culture demanded in the vortex of life. Nothing is new, says time. Children do not play. They work. Pray they never play with damaged gods and damaged goods. Under the clock, exquisite orchards or pandemic eyes, an end arrives. Apocalypse is an elegant dance. An end survives. Mover and motion, coordinate and conduct. An end archive. Undoing of bodies, demise of mind. An end contrives these lies, boldly saying, entering eternity is so easy. Thank you.
Len Lawson, and Len is just a incredible poet that I've just had the honor of learning about his work recently. I'd like you to please welcome Len Lawson. He's the co-editor of the upcoming anthology, The Future of Black Afrofuturism and Black Comic Poetry. Thank you for joining us, Len.
Good evening, everyone. So glad to see all of you here. A lot of you here. It's wonderful. Among so many titans and giants in Afrofuturism, poetry, and fiction. So I'm going to read two poems and start with the first, which will be published online at the beginning of the new year. It's an elegy for Chadwick Boseman. The Black Panther lives forever. His mantle passes from generation to generation. But this was a man, flesh and bone, breathing among us, living, smiling, crossing his arms at his chest. For us, for all of us, with melanin souls, for the spirits in our Black chests, our ambassador of Blackness, when our own country allows our genocide, when our protectors keep blasting our bodies into the ancestral plane, a hero who gave us Black icons on screen, instead of Black blood canvassing pavement, lambs dragged to brazen altars at traffic stops. We beheld his CGI glory descending in Endgame, second coming from a morning star portal, with every African regality, ancestor, and deity filling his chest and healing arms with valor. We salute fists raised, eyes lifted, hearts heavy with vibranium. So this second poem is based on a true story. If you do a search engine search for Slave Gordon, you'll find the infamous photo of a formerly enslaved man with just a lattice of scars from whips on his back. So this poem is taken from that photo. It's an ekphrastic poem, and it's simply called Gordon. After the photo by William D. McPherson and Mr. Oliver, 1863, CDV by Matthew Brady. It starts with an epigraph from the book The People Could Fly. They say the people could fly, say the people who could fly kept their power, although they shed their wings. Africans and their descendants sold into slavery had special abilities. Gordon could create a GPS with the scars on his back. One needed only to place a hand on his back, and the path to freedom emerged. He was a North Star, bright as the morning. They called him Whipped Peter, but his mutant code name was the Compass. This is how he found the Union camp after escaping from his Louisiana plantation. But he went back and helped more of his brethren escape. Of course, he could no longer live among them on the plantation, so he camped in swamps among alligators and moccasins. The freedom seekers sought him in the trees or under the surface of the water, but he found them running for their lives as he had. He soothed their panic with the treasure map patterns on his back. He embraced them with black skin crop circles. He placed their hands on him, and they beheld his glory. He was a gift from above, living like John the Baptist. He knew his calling was greater than the master's whip. He knew even when he was tied to the overseer's post, feeling the leather burn grace into his flesh. He knew when his screams echoed through the southern wilderness, back across the ocean, onto African shores, and to the tribes that birthed him. He saw them with every clapping slice through his back, cracks of prophetic lightning to his soul. They appeared vividly, chanting with heavy breaths. They blew smoke into the air, and the fog spelled out his name. He knew he had to liberate his people from bondage. They were already a free nation. Setha Suggs had a tree growing out of her back. It could reach into space with unborn babies and ancestors hovering on every limb, warring with a ghost who ate at its roots. But Gordon the Compass had a rocket on his back, an ambassador to the cosmos. He piloted brothers and sisters saying, "Touch me, I'll take you wherever you want to go." Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the reading.
Thank you. That was brilliant. I'm telling you, I'm sitting here in just in awe. The beauty of the poets we have here today. Thank you, Len. Our next poet is Lenard Moore. Please welcome Lenard, who is an author and editor of several books, including All the Songs We Sing and The Geography of Jazz. Hello, Lenard.
Hello, everybody. I'm pleased to be here. I'm honored and humbled, and I'm getting ready to transport you back to the 70s with my last poem, so get ready for the ride. Afro-futuristic dreaming. The dark woman tried to shake the reoccurring dream, tried to lift her gold-wrapped head off the black satin pillow. She wanted Hanks to stop driving the silver spaceship over her 100-year-old house, as if the future hovered with it. When the test doctor bent to examine her eye-fluttering jerks, I noticed her feet flap like flippers as ancestors whispered her name. Until she rose out of deep sleep, I sidestepped toward the door like a crab crawls to the sea. The woman told the terrible dream, the same one she mouthed last week, wanted to know what sign revealed itself and what prayer to pray again and again, so summer sky could give back the swirling spaceship, the scary Hanks. Afrofuturistic dream 2100. Red vehicle as shiny as glass surfaces from the Atlantic, raises and swirls propellers, flies like a helicopter, becomes a crimson cloud, no sound emits, a stark nothingness, transports itself, a galaxy searcher, probes the brilliant sky. Maybe ebony pilots command the atmosphere, charting craft, cruising cosmic pathways to explore another planet as clean as purified water. Maybe ebony pilots carry the funk like the mothership, no fiddling away anytime. Red vehicle as shiny as glass, mirroring what lies ahead. And the last poem, traveling on the mothership. I remember 45 P-Funk years ago when the mothership landed its rhythm, George Clinton style, as if the tunes boomed from outer space, pioneering permanent points, funky funk, funking up the cityscape, the landscape, the airscape, the parliaments, funkadelic, giving us earthlings what we craved. Keyboards, bass, guitars, horns, drums, vocals, synthesizers, quake the stage, the bands funk blew each roof off, blasting themselves to another galaxy. I remember 45 P-Funk years ago, how we kept funk dancing, funky as funking could go. Then Bootsy Collins stretching Afro-futuristic sound, that rubber band climbing charts until funk walked, funk talked. Funk lived, everybody funky, funk loved, collective funking, knee deep, cosmic connection, foot stomping, rumbling, smoking up as if we were riding the mothership, eyes flashing like bulbs. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I was like, I'm funked out. That was beautiful. I want to just, like I said, I'm like in awe of today. I'm just, all I can say is I'm in awe. And I want to now introduce the great Ishmael Reed. I would like you to please welcome him. Ishmael's the author of over 25 books, including Mumbo Jumbo and the play The Haunting of Lin-Manuel Miranda. Hi, Ishmael.
Well, thanks for putting this together. And all the esteemed poets are great company, friends of mine. My latest book is called Why the Black Hole Sings the Blues. And came out last month. So you can get it on Amazon. I read in Science Magazine that the sound of the black hole, the one that they are talking about, is in B flat, which is the typical, probably the typical scale for the B flat scale is probably the typical scale for blues. although it can be played in all scales, but that's the one that seems to be the favorite. I'm going to read one poem. And The Gilded Age, Mark Twain coined the term the Gilded Age for a period of corruption and greed. And so this is, I refer here to the Gilded Age too. Unlike the old days when assassinations had to be planned sometimes for months in advance, children of the Gilded Age too merely board a plane on Thanksgiving and kill their grandparents with their breaths. Arrogant pups who know more than the CDC. Children of the Gilded Age too, a hard time for you is not having enough kegs for your fraternity party, or hearing that your group spring break cruise has been canceled while our ancestors had to go without beer, didn't come over here in yachts. They weren't part of no regatta. They came in slave ships or coffin ships. A hard time for you is when others are crowding out your bandwidth, but suppose that you were a Mexican-American citizen sent across the border because Herbert Hoover blamed you for his depression. Or how about a Guatemalan child thrown in a cage and separated from their parents permanently? If this happened to you, you'd be in a rage. Children of the Gilded Age too. If you think things are bad now because the price on your parents' high-tech stocks dipped, imagine that you're a Chinese girl kidnapped and sold on the streets of San Francisco in 1860, and these 6 companies let strangers mangle you for 75 cents, while your mother is upset because her Chanel wasn't delivered in time for the dog show. Children of the Gilded Age too. What about the other channel? One taken by an immigrant in a leaking boat that was supposed to take him from Libya to Italy, and the boat capsizes, and all he sees are black fins swimming toward his children. Channel that. Children of the Gilded Age too. Hell, if times get tough, you have Grubhub, DoorDash, or Walmart can get you groceries in 2 hours. When you reach for a peach at Melba, think of the long line of cars as people await their food allotments, and it's 95 degrees, and your children didn't eat yesterday, and you've been unemployed for a year, and the nurses working in the nearby hospital have to use trash bags for gowns because the government believes that COVID is a Chinese hoax. If you think you got it bad, suppose you were an inmate in San Quentin and COVID is jumping from cell to cell after having left a nursing home, the end of those who fought 2 wars and survived 2 depressions. Think of this when you put on your $100 designer mask over your nose and chin. Your sister has to attend a state school because she was turned down by Princeton. Girls in other countries get acid thrown into their faces if found reading books, or they're too busy to think about a book because they are slaves in India, Africa, and cases even pop up in the United States from time to time. Is she better off than those kidnapped by Boko Haram or ISIS or another group of armed idiots high on testosterone, smelling themselves, roaming the world looking for a fight? Americans, even though you might be led by an over-the-hill vaudevillian who has a hole in the sole of his shoe and streaks of makeup on his collar and lacks grog and is trailed by a roll of toilet paper as he boards Air Force One, even though your evangelists romp from motel to motel in their underwear, even though some Boy Scouts leaders and some Catholic bishops get off on children. Children of the Gilded Age, unlike people in the rest of the world who hold their children as they starve in their arms, who drink from water that animals and humans defecate in, whose lands have become deserts and sink underwater because of your insatiable greed for toxic energy, you live a charmed life. You always win the lottery. The daily double, 3 bells in a row to Las Vegas. Yet you whine, grouse, bitch, and moan when your lives are mirrored in the Streisand song. You are the luckiest people in the world.
That was incredible. I was waiting for more. Thank you, Ishmael. Our next wonderful poet, because honestly, guys, I am just flabbergasted by the talent here today. Just flabbergasted. And get their books, get Ishmael's books, any of these books, you'll be lucky to be reading them. But our next poet is Darell Stover. And I want to also give a shout out because Darell was the one who was a moderator for part 1 and part 2 of this series on Afrofuturism. Please welcome Darell Stover, who is a cultural historian, science communicator, performance poet, and the author of the poetry collection, Somewhere Deep Down When. Hi, Darell.
Hey, Kim.
Hey.
I have to say this, first and foremost. Thank you for reaching out to me and inviting me in to work closely with making this all happen as both a moderator and a convener of those panels that we had. More importantly, moving forward with this poetry reading, I sent you a poem entitled Cyberpunk, which takes its name from a genre of poetry. Actually, to some extent, Chip Delaney was referencing it in our discussion when he mentioned William Gibson and Neuromancer, but what he did not reference is the fact that he's seen as the father of cyberpunk. Back in the last century, I wrote a poem of that self-same title, but the poem was in tribute to Bernie Worrell, the main composer of Parliament Funkadelic's music. But that poem is probably a little bit too long, so I'm going to set that one aside. So Cyberpunk for Bernie Worrell, keyboard basher, neuromancer, you'll have to seek elsewhere. What I will do is I'll start with a poem entitled Too Late, which was originally published in the WPFW 89.3 Poetry Anthology, WPFW being the Pacifica station in Washington, D.C., where I'm originally from. But it has, of course, been republished in my collection of, well, let's get that light right, Somewhere Deep Down When. Too late, too late, too late. He poured it in the sewer as the police arrived like so many pigeons to crumbs. Where is it, they yelled in bellicose tones of bravado, guns drawn, eyes wide. The chase had been breathtaking, over rooftops and through alleyways decorated with America's most unwanted, massive byproduct, waste. The newspapers mixed with the garbage of last night, at least what the dogs, cats, roaches, and rats hadn't devoured. Disrupted by the passing feet, cars, and helicopter searchlights. People looked out windows unto surroundings they had grown to expect. No more shots rang out this night. The guns had been emptied, trigger mechanisms overworked. All drugs sold and dispensed, mental excursions completed. With cries for a more prolonged escape, everything grew real still. The sun appeared, rose in the west, set in the east for 40 days and nights. Then the planet was no more. There was not enough time to realize that it had fallen out of galaxial orbit. They had no true means of escape. Very far away. In another time, an alien chemist passes judgment on a wildly crafted vase containing an even stranger liquid. Totalitarian authorities break into his lab, order him to hand over the vase and its contents. He drinks it. The planet's double suns explode, engulf everything in their orbit as the chemist dies at the end of a horrible interrogation. His last words, as their atmosphere vaporizes to whiteness, too late, 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 too late. His last words, as their atmosphere vaporizes to whiteness, reveal the elixir to be a volatile explosive, endlessly leapfrogging universes through the magic of temporal shift. A smudgy label on the bottom of the vase reads, dispose in the core of the nearest red dwarf star, or experience the annihilation of your galaxy. Patent pending. Halliburton Acme Weapons Systems Division, filing date, June 18th, 2018. Too late. Too late. Too late. Second poem of the two that I am sharing comes from this special tribute issue to jazz literature and Amiri Baraka of Obsidian. And actually on the cover is photos from a Sun Ra concert that took place in Washington, DC back in the mid 80s. It was in the old post office pavilion, which is now, of course, Trump Tower Hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. That Sun Ra concert is also captured in this photo of Sun Ra himself there in that historical structure. The poem I'm going to share with you is entitled Mystics Play Like Comic Books. It was almost too late. Night after deep blue night, sound shifters emerge, swirled galaxy glues, hold fast for many planets, under many hot suns. Man, if it hadn't been done. Monk showed train, mathematical harvest, multiversal tunings and tones, stickiness in sounds, bold superhero long love licks, calculated to keep the universes stretching but tight. Expanding spirals of soul dust, ascending crimson light, sparked by shouts, screams, and spells, passed on to scientist Pharaoh and Shep, afterburners Jimmy, McCoy, and Elvin. Monk told Miles at 19 in a cartoon balloon, the magic in the whispered quiet bop, ultrasonic silence between boogie. Only dark matter could hear and be quantum, be tamed and together. Keep the atomic spheres wound, one moving sound, at precise virtuous velocities. Zoom against millennia old animosities, stop time pivot punches, win starry fights, zap new freedoms, spread intergalactic civil resistant independence, blue in green bioluminescence. Put a shine on peace to the far reaches, power time to never stop, ever since Miles guided Tony, Wayne, Herbie, and Ron, composing on, generating all knowing, black cats blowing, keeping it there past 12, or Monk would return.
Beautiful. Thank you. Just beautiful. Okay, thank you. Our next poet is C. Liegh McInnis. He is a poet and a short story writer and just absolutely brilliant. And I feel very lucky to have you here. Let's welcome C. Liegh McInnis.
The title of this poem is Eshu's Post-Dated Poem. The Berlin Conference is not a history lesson, but a blueprint to ensure that no Wakanda rises as waves of whiteness wipe out recollection so that skywalkers cannot return to the pyramids that function as galactic landmarks on the journey to our peoplelution, while solids learn that liquid and gas are just rest stops on our odyssey to the place where we know our names before they're given to us. But minds impregnated with fear will build their own prisons, for Plato's cave is more comforting than Delaney's ongoing game of semiotic three-card Monte. Thinking is for those who accept crucifixion as the sentence for solving the signs that have been stolen to craft slick slogans such as the system is the solution. So my bell returns as a four-headed hound, promising infinite G to anyone willing to accept a SIM card in the neck. However, Chattanooga Reed has shown us that even the competitor is owned by the parent company, thus that flight to Canada might as well be a drive through Einstein's intersection where poets with no dreams plagiarize Lucretius to destruct the Tower of Babel built by Isaac and Al, because Gould's warning was ignored, since it's easy to make evolution a religion when people masquerading as imperialists are just as gluttonous as robotic role-playing theologians. Are credit cards the new summer, creating hallucination as citizenship as we engineer everything from eggs to erections, becoming the bored colony of consumers that will eat its own as myopic masterminds of mediocre machines that mindlessly masturbate, since solving for X and Y is better left to the 10% that circumcise their emotions to become more efficient builders of plastic perfection? Yet, whose Frankenstein's creation was President Agent Orange, and whose Agent Orange was COVID-19, and whose Brave New World was a pile of mumbo jumbo? And if COVID just grew, why did Trump, who still skin raid the Black Knight's treasury to dismantle the ammunition needed to slay any dragon, this fire-breathing pandemic? Because America eats more than is young, as pale pirates pillage and plunder the truth to rape rainbow children of their appointment with destiny. If it will take carving a crimson piece into an Easter blue sky, will Jubilee be bathed in purple rain for prophets for a new day to tell us that something does not compute, and that the only thing that is AUT-O-matic is that cells always find a way to divide, even when humans are hell-bent on subtracting themselves? Thus, Black Kirby creates green gammas to illuminate the interstellar path to the garden. Super Sylvester solving for string theory plots Anansi's web across the cosmos, while the devilishly daring the grass disentangles spirals that swirl solutions about stars pregnant with possibilities, remembering supernovas are mere monuments that we must come and go simultaneously through the shape-shifting matrix. The crossroad is where the universe bends at a blues note, signifying in syncopation that mojo is a mixture of math and magic to mesmerize the masses from their mindlessness. We are all myth-making. Postmodernism is cultural quilting with borrowed thread and leftover fabric from the past that has been worn thin into a future woven with a crimson of plum prospects where Yeshua and Spock can have coffee to debate the definition of Mr. Data, because Amasava's Pinocchio is created in the image of what man fears God to be. So let's send Kofa our survival to become sanctified silver surfers. This is what it means to live on the one and to be functified as our roots are planted firmly in the fertilizer of the blue, so that our leaves, branches, and fruit can flower toward the sun, enabling us to feed folks with the fiber they need to blossom beyond the stairway to heaven into the bosom of the almighty benefactor. So I'm gonna take a page from Captain Kirk's log, commune with a colorful chicken, hope for the best, thinking that Eshu's coconuts will contain enough libation that we need for his post-dated payment is still waiting for us to cross the learning threshold, but the planetary paradigm is still too constipated to shift. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Seeley. I'm honestly, I'm blown away by everyone today. That's all I'm going to say is I am blown away.